I think that's what it was. I think we're attending.
NASA doesn't have good internet?
Well, no,
That's a little concerning.
Well, they spend all the money on the,
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, they might, but you don't get. Yeah,
Restricted areas.
yeah, but it was just like, I can't get your video to work, so. We good, Josh? Yes, we're good. All right.
All right. So good evening. Thank you, large crowd, for joining us tonight. It is 7:11 p.m. So we will call this July 19th, 2023 regular board meeting to order. If you would please stand up and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, our first agenda item of the night is our strategic plan update from Special District. We've done well.
focuses there was the charting the life course.
Yeah.
Change to IEPs. Are you and your staff considering going that direction here soon, or is that sort of a?
So we've done modified versions. So Danielle Fox, who is our middle school teacher, is actually a trainer for what used to be a futures planning meeting. So used to have math planning and futures planning. The new model is charting the life course. A lot of the other districts have larger
Go
staffs.
in that direction here soon, or is that sort of a?
So a lot of the larger districts are able to have one or two staff members trained to do it because it's pretty involved and it's pretty in-depth. So I actually met with Sandy Kemp, who is our transition effective practice specialist, as well as Emily LeBou, who is our family engagement administrator. And so we're trying to figure out how to bring that to our high school staff, especially to start that, and maybe a modified version. But we are bringing it. It just looks a little bit different because of our staff doing so many different things.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, it is, we already have plans for that
Cool.
right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was a really cool program. So,
It is. And what's nice is when it started, it was really labor intense for some of our families. Like families were going home and they're like, it was 2 or 3 hours of work to prepare for those meetings, and that's too much. So I think over the last couple of years, they figured out a happy medium to get those core questions asked and, you know, programmed around without having the homework side of things. So, no.
Not to speak out of turn, but like even in bigger districts, our goal really is just, it historically had been, we get to high school and we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? What is their plan for the future? What do the families want? What does the student want? What are we gonna do to get them there? And it, putting all of that in just the high school realm, I mean, sometimes you gotta back up, like, and so now it's even down to like kindergarten, like when we're looking at long-term plans, it's, we want this goal to be met, but what do we want them to do ultimately in their life? Like, right now, yeah, I want them to use 2 words together, but really, I want them to be able to express themselves somewhere, like whether that's they get a job, whether that's they're just able to communicate wants and needs. And so it's really systematic, like it's kind of, in my end as an educator, it's exciting because now I'm involved in that process too. And so it's not just like, hey, you get to high school and they're gonna figure you out. It's like, no, we're gonna start working to get you there before you're there.
yeah, I mean, I think my hope, right, my kind of goals with it, the ceiling starts to fall, right, as you get further on into a student's career. So yeah, the earlier we can get it, and that charting the life course, you know, I mean, the Leadership Institute going over the charting the life course curriculum, emphasize that was, if we start earlier, we can keep the ceiling higher at the end for students.
And we have always done a version of it. Again, we've done the MAPS meeting and the futures meeting, which is kind of the older name for it, is we really focused on some of our students coming from early childhood to kindergarten, 5th to 6th grade, 8th to 9th grade, kind of those natural progressions. But we've done it splintered as we had the need for students and families. I think what we'll really look at here in Valley Park are what are some natural opportunities through parent-teacher conferences, some other opportunities where we can build in some of those questions versus adding another meeting to the place of both our families and our staff. I do think an advantage I have too is I was a part of that vocational skills program when I started here in Valley Park. So I oversaw 5 of our community systems for our 18 to 21-year-olds. And that's always been a passion of mine. So if, you know, families that are watching tonight or, you know, maybe in the room, I start having conversations very early because I've been on that side of it. And I do think that's a benefit to our families here as well.
We appreciate all you and your team do.
Thanks. And just a big shout out to my staff. I know my principals hear this all the time, but I would place bets on our special education team here in Valley Park that they are hands down the best team, probably in the county. So we're very fortunate to have them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is strategic plan update for the elementary school, Dr. Ganlon.
Good evening. It's always a privilege for me to get to speak to the Board of Education about the accomplishments of the elementary school this past year and where we're heading, what are our goals and our growth opportunities for this upcoming school year. Okay, so at the elementary, our pillar one, ensuring our student success, we had two academic goals. And the first one was our reading goal, and it was by the end of the 22-23 school year, 85% of our students at each grade level will achieve 1 year's worth of reading growth as measured by Teacher College. And the outcome of that goal was 87% of our students met that goal. Our math goal was by the end of 22-23 school year, 70% of our students at each grade level would show proficiency or progress in the area of number sense and operations as measured by Green Box. And the outcome was 100% of our students showed proficiency or progress in number sense and operations. Okay, another thing for under pillar one that I wanted to share with you tonight was ensuring our student success was the personal learning and engagement. We had 10 teachers this school year that participated in that limitless learning cohort. And through this professional development and the coaching that our teachers received, they were able to implement the project-based learning in our classroom. So we had, like I said, 10 teachers go through it. This past year, we have 11 teachers that will start it in August. And what we're seeing in the classroom is more hands-on project-based learning with our kids. An example of that is our 4th grade creating sound machines. So that's just an example. It's nice to have that common language throughout the whole entire district because it's just not elementary, it's middle school and high school. So to see teachers using now those common descriptors as a, deep, the kids going at surface level deep, and they apply it and transfer it. So that's, we're looking forward to all our staff going through that training. And then, okay, creating a culture of belonging. This is so important at our elementary school. We want each of our students to feel like they belong and are part of our elementary community. So the ways that we have ensured this are the Hawkway values, and we have our Hawkway pledge. We created an attendance club. We have to get kids there every day. And if they're not there, then admin, teachers, counselors are calling families. What do you need? What kind of supports do you need in place for your child to be at school every day? We have our second steps curriculum that supports that social and emotional needs of our students. We have morning greetings and meetings. And we identify the students who are high risk on our SABRS grading scales and provide additional counseling for them. And we have our bullying prevention group. Pillar 2, valuing our talented staff. So you heard the Megan's talk a lot about this year about our teachers being able to select their PD choice strands. So this resulted in individual professional growth for our teachers. At the elementary, our teachers worked on or have the science curriculum and health curriculum written already. It was a research year for social studies, gifted, our English language learners, and our English language arts. And then we meet on a regular basis in our weekly, monthly, and daily team meetings. In some ways that we recognize our staff is we do rounding conversations with them. All our new staff and teachers that have took on new roles this year at elementary. So every 30, 60, 90 days, we talk with them, seeing what they needed from us, what was going well, what wasn't working. So we had those open and honest conversations with them. That work resulted from the work that our admin team did for when we were working with student education. We also conducted post-observation conversations with our teachers and the survey, and then we surveyed our teachers, and 90% of our teachers felt like the feedback that we were giving them during post-observation conversations were very meaningful to them. And then we recognize our staff in the top left-hand corner, that's Mrs. Gilman. She was our VP, VIP. We try to do that like every other month, recognize staff. We give them weekly shout outs in our emails. We do social media posts, and we leave them notes that they've been rocking their role in their classrooms. And then pillar 3, strengthening our school, or engaging our community and families, and then strengthening those school and classroom relationship with our families. So some of our accomplishments this year were 100% of our families were contacted by classroom teachers within the first 2 weeks of school. And we want to build those relationships right from the beginning, that home school connection. 100% of our new families were contacted by administration within the first 2 weeks of school. 92% of our families participated in fall conferences and 94 in spring. And then we send a weekly newsletter out to our families every week on Friday. And then this year we were able to bring back the formerly known as Kids Day, but it's Donuts with Grown-ups. And we had over 330 guests show up in our building to visit with their grandchildren or neighbors or whatever the case is. And then, of course, our field day parent volunteers, without them, we wouldn't be able to have a successful field day. So I think as an administrator, a question that I get asked very often is, what's the best thing about Valley Park? And, I always go back to the community. How often do you have a preschool all the way up to high school on one campus? And just to form those relationships with, the other buildings. And this year, the leadership class at the high school was so helpful in initiating many things at elementary. And just a few of them that I have listed is they did a Chick-fil-A book giveaway during Read Across America. They came over and read to our kids. The Pumpkin Project is always one of our favorites because they take a pumpkin and dress it as a character of a book that they're going to read to our elementary students, and that's always a highlight. They do high fives, and you can see a picture of them, no matter if it was snowing or sleeting some days, or raining, or the sun was out, they're out there giving high fives to our students as they're getting off buses, or even at parent drop off, they're out there too. And then they did a STEM project with 10 different activities for our kids to do, and then the 1 million book giveaway. So we also have our high school mentors that come over and tutor our kids, along with the middle school cross-age tutors. And then this is something that's really near and dear to me. I believe that we have to instill in our students at a very young age what it's like to give your time, to donate, to have empathy for others, and to be part of your community. And, that involvement has to start when they're young. And these are just some of the examples of what we did this year. Our Kids with Class did community donations, one to Circle of the Concern, and then the other one to Last Chance. Yes, and so the kids donated supplies for pets. And then, of course, our partnership with the Assistant League, who donate our books, or some of our books, our Pause for Reading program. Oasis tutors, we had 8 tutors this year, and they worked with students one-on-one every week. And then our Champions Church, the Packs for Pails, on Fridays, we sent home 31 backpacks filled with food for our families. And then they also did a huge school supply donation at the beginning of the year. Our BJC, they supplied books for every second grader in our building at the end of this year. Vision Van, 22 of our elementary students received glasses to the Vision Van. Our Girls on the Run, they also have to do community service, and they did a toy drive for Children's Hospital. So in just our local businesses that, help support us and our families. We always have a donation from Hugh Orthodontics that donate turkeys and full Thanksgiving dinners for some of our families. We have the doctors and nurses and staff at Mercy Hospital, it's just one floor. They adopted 3 of our families for Christmas this year, and they've been doing that in the past, and they're extremely generous. So, and of course, our PTO, they sponsor events, our teacher grants, they gave over $6,000 in grants to our teachers. They help with our teacher appreciation week, they do the book fair, classroom parties, field day. Okay, so this year, I get to talk about the preschool program a little bit. We had an increase of 10 new students from the previous year and an increase of 10 new families from the previous year. And I don't think those numbers really do it justice. So you can put a number out there, like how many students you have in the preschool, but it's really getting those seats filled every day. So for an example, in our Wonder class, on Mondays, we had 16 students, but Tuesday through Fridays, we were maxed out. We had 20 students, and they're different students every day. Parents might only choose Tuesday and Friday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it was really about, getting kids on wait list and, reaching out to families if a spot came available. So we also do a lot of engagement activities down in the preschool. We had the Peekaboo program, which was started, well, this was our second year. So they get to come for a week in June and see what preschool is all about. So that's been a huge success. We do an open house last spring. Our community helpers, such as Chris Pohl, have gone down there and talked about what he does on this campus. Officer Mullins goes down, talks about what she does on the campus. So just bringing in that community to our preschoolers. We do parent-teacher conferences. They participate in Reading Week. They also partnered with the high school leadership class, and they did 2 service projects. One, they made cards for a local nursing home, and then the other one, they collected pennies to give to Circle of Concern. So we got to start them early. And then, of course, we have our play dates in the park and then our end of year picnic. Also, our PAT program this year. So we served 50 families, so it's 27 new families in our PAT program. And we do a lot of activities with the PAT program, things that go, muscles in motion, so much fun, yoga. You can see the parents are even participating in the yoga. A firehouse visit, our end of year picnic. We provide screenings for our PAT families. And then our partnerships with the community, the VP Library and the Grand Glades and the VP Firehouse. We also get to do the survey with those families, what do they need? What can we provide for them? And these are all feeders into our preschool and then into our elementary. So we're excited and encouraged about our numbers this year. Sooner we can get them in our building, the better off they are and we are. So moving on to some goals and growth opportunities for 23-24 under Pillar 1. We want to increase our A reading scores, and in math, our A math scores. And then we want to increase students feeling respected in our building. That was something that came back a little bit lower than we hoped for in our belonging survey with the students. So we want everybody to feel like they are being respected and when they're here at school. And then under Pillar 2, something we're going to do this year with our staff is increase that communication. So the use of our Google Hub and then our VP Google Calendar. And then engaging our families and communities, we want to increase the opportunities for families to come to school and engage in activities with our staff and students. And that is it. Thank you always, board. I always appreciate you and for your support of not only me, but for our students and staff here at the elementary school. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot of information.
Really quick, just to your final point about more parent involvement, does that mean like things like the spelling bee and all those events that we typically hold would be inviting all parents?
Yeah, that's a
Like,
great
go back to
question.
kind of how we used to do it.
I don't know, that's something we're gonna have to figure out as we are going through the year. You know, we want to increase not only parents' involvement, but community. Like, how can we bring in more community into our school here? Yeah. All right, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Uh-huh.
Right, and for our next item, the approval of the agenda. I'll make the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. On to the next, 4.01, public comment on written agenda items. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on? I saw you mouthing some Mr. Rolls. I thought maybe you had something to share with the class. Just joking. All right.
Just for official meeting.
I know. Welcome in your first official meeting.
And
Yeah,
Yes,
Josh's
Josh.
first meeting as well, also,
Hi,
yeah.
Josh. And Kelly is here in your first official meeting.
And Angie's in her first official
Yes.
meeting, right, not her first meeting, but
No.
first official meeting.
All right. on
If
to-
it's your here, send it to you.
My last.
Right, yeah, last official.
And we have all the changes happening. All right, on to the consent items. We have the approval of regular session minutes, approval of June's check register, approval of July's check register, approval of the 2022-2023 end of year actuals, and approval of the district meeting rate. Also, the approval of the transfer of funds, approval of the breakfast and lunch prices, and then the second reading of the new board policies. Are there anyone would like to pull out for separate discussion, consideration, general merriment? All right,
Just not to go over.
then I will make a motion to approve all of the consent items. May I have a second? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, our next thing, is our public comment on non-agenda items. Again, seeing such a vast crowd, we'll continue. So the next item is our motion to adjourn to executive session. So I will make the motion for that. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, and we will do a roll call for that. So I will start with you.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. I'm an aye as well. So we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Get home safely.
See you in August.
See you in August.